All right, welcome to the pre-race meeting. We're going to discuss the Mid-South today. Going to go over the ins and outs of the race, give everybody a little bit of a preview about what to expect. All right, my name is Adam. A little bit about me. Been coaching full-time since 2008. Have a master's degree in exercise science. I'm a USA Cycling Level 1 coach, which is the highest level. Training Peaks Level 2 coach, which is also the highest level. I have clients that earn 26 national championships in 11 disciplines. Worked with UCI professional teams and domestic elite teams in the past. Multitude of gravel race winners that I've worked with, from overalls to age groupers, men and women. That include like gravel worlds winners and Unbound gravel podium finishers. All right, looking through the Mid-South, day before or a few days before, read the tech guide, all of it. It's not really a tech guide for the Mid-South that I've seen so far. In this case, you want to explore the website. There's lots of good information there. So just kind of click around and see what there is to see. Some things to note from the website's FAQ is that you'll be expected to abide by the formal rules of the road. This is not a closed road. All roads are open to traffic. According to the state and the county, you're just a bunch of bike riders on the roads with the rest of the cars. No outside support crews on the course except in designated areas, otherwise known as aid stations. And this year, the race is offering neutral water and nutrition at the halfway points in Perry, Oklahoma. That's just in Perry, nowhere else. Neutral support is available. There's not really any kind of explanation about where that neutral support would be. I would assume Perry, also maybe the aid stations, but you never know. And please remember, support vehicles are never allowed on course. If you have support, you can only take support from your crew in Perry, Oklahoma at the halfway point. So a little bit more about why they don't want cars in the course. Every year in road cycling, you hear about caravan vehicles that run down riders and hit them. Doesn't happen very often, but every one of those caravans are also trained. With gravel races, you have a bunch of untrained, non-elite riders, along with untrained, non-elite drivers. I mean, that's just a recipe for danger. So yeah, just don't drive on the course. Pretty simple. So let's talk about making a plan for your race experience. The website has this awesome parking map for the whole area around the expo and around the start-finish line. Pay attention to where you're parking and make sure you don't get ticketed or towed. There's nothing quite like being done with the race, coming back to your car and finding that it's towed. Not a great day for anybody, but there's lots of free parking, lots of opportunities there too. All right, so event schedule. I'm a big fan of arrive early and get relaxed. So Friday, 10 a.m., Expo opens. You can go around there, buy stuff from the vendors, 11 a.m. food trucks open, so that's lunch. Maybe not. It's not always the best food for pre-race meals, but it's still food. Noon, a rider check-in begins. 4 p.m. there's a shakeout ride that'll usually last about 90 minutes. Oftentimes they'll preview the course if you're going to do your own pre-ride. It's a good idea to look at the first few miles and last few miles of the course. And then 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. rider meeting, 7 p.m. after party for the riders. Food trucks will also be open, so that's maybe dinner. Again, maybe not the best foods, but definitely food. All right, Saturday, I'd recommend waking up between 5 and 5:30 for some breakfast. 7:30, consider lining up, starting September around 7:30, and at 8 a.m. sharp, the Mid-South will start. So easy Saturday, and then you get home whenever you want to. Final pre-race prep. Do not eat anything new the 48 hours before game day. Food trucks, eating out, again, it's the balance between like what's available and what's familiar. Food trucks are there. Might not be a bad idea. Eating out again, these food trucks eating out, those foods are meant to be like packed with flavor. And to do that, stuff that makes things flavorful are not the same things that athletes, are great for eating. Not the best thing for athletic performance. So as far as packing for the trip, should begin as soon as feasible. Minimize delays getting out the door so then you can get to the event and relax. Bikes should be 100% race ready before they leave the house. That includes like everything from sealant to making sure you have water bottles, all that stuff. Day before, set up the bike. Make sure you can ride it out the door. If you have water bottles or drink mix or hydration pack it night, get it ready the night before, and just make sure it's ready to put on and get out the door. Tire pressure, you can probably check that the day before sometime, and maybe in the morning. Make sure you have the route loaded, including the route to the start, whether you're driving there or just ride your bike to the start line. Have that route included as well, and then charge everything. Nowadays you have like, what do you have? You have your SRAM shifters. So those have 2 batteries, which last roughly 9 to 12 months. So if you need to charge those or change them, do that. There's CR2032s. You have SRAM shifter batteries. You have computer batteries. You have your cell phone battery. You have light batteries. You have Di2 batteries. You have batteries, whatever. Just charge everything. Charge it all. Again, day before, pack all your food. Who knows what's going to be at the aid stations? It could be Pop-Tarts. It could be awesome, great food. It could be that by the time you get there, everything's out. So make sure you're self-sufficient there. Lay out your clothes for the next day, 5 a.m., super early, 5:30, also really early. It's early, especially early for new routines that you don't do a whole lot. I mean, even get your breakfast ready, get everything ready for coffees, have to turn the machine on. And then plan your route and then parking at the event. Again, you can go back and look at that part of that. What we're trying to do here is minimize decisions and minimize chances for mishaps, misplacing things, forgetting things on game day. Okay. 2023 results. At the Mid-South, 1,039 finishers. The winners were in 434 and 454, men and women respectively. Looking at riders within 10% of that time. With the men, you have 23. That time cutoff would have been like 501. And then for the women, you had 8 finishers, and then 10% of the women's time at 523. So it shows, fairly top-heavy race, fairly competitive. Median finisher, about 7.5 hours. Of the 1,000+ finishers, there are only an additional 32 DNFs or did not start. So that's around 3%, which means that when the Mid-South is dry, it's fast, relatively fast, and does not have a very high attrition rate. So all good things. All right, weather for the Mid-South. This was taken maybe a couple hours ago. Saturday, it's looking pretty good. Early, the rest of the week, it's going to be kind of hot and windy. They'll keep everything dry. Very low percent chance of rain. Saturday, low 46, high of 67. But more importantly is it's not going to be super windy on Saturday. Thinking about temperatures and whatever and whatnot, when you wake up, it's going to be chilly. It's going to be about 44 degrees at the start. Temperature will peak at about 66 degrees. That won't happen until pretty much everyone is finished. Looking at mostly cloudy, so 66 degrees and cloudy, not particularly warm. Maybe thinking about, just dress for, I would say dress for under 60 degrees, and you can always shed layers because most of the day is going to be spent under 60 degrees. So exposure time does matter for relatively low temperatures. And you can be out there all day, and even if it's 66 degrees, you're still going to be cold because you've been cold since, 9 p.m. expected optimal equipment setup. Tire size, keeping it super generic, 36C plus tires. Oftentimes in races like this, you're going to see 40C plus, especially with some of the like B roads and riding was going to field straight through a farm field. Bigger tires are better for that. Tread, short blocks, not very tall, that are widely spaced inside and kind of close in the center. That'll give you a fast rolling line and then some good grab on the sides for some cornering, for some control. Clearance, more is more. So gearing, I would say for this race, the 1-to-1 ratio is probably going to be about what you need. Looking at tire pressure, refer to your wheel maker because there's so many different opportunities there. So many different wheels and so many different tires. So some other options for bike equipment, some general guidelines for setting up bikes is make sure your rig is dialed. Gearing should be low in the rear, so like 46 tooth if you're not sure about the climbs. Make sure your brakes are good. Brake pads have plenty of life in them. Tires, I would say, in like new condition. If you're going to travel all the way to Stillwater, Oklahoma on beat up old tires to race, I would call one of the marquee events in gravel racing in North America, that's not where having new tires, I don't know what it is. Fill your sealant. If you don't know when the last time you put sealant in your tires was, the answer probably needs to be today. Carry all your tools to fix your bike, chain tool, know how to use the tools. If you don't, good luck. Flat fixing stuff, I would say tire boots and plugs. Charge phone, goes back to charging, and start with full water, and you'd eat breakfast. And don't forget sunscreen, even though it's cloudy. All right. Look at the 2024 Mid-South course. It's 101 miles. It's going to start in the bottom right corner at Stillwater, looking at clockwise rotation. Climbing 6,900 feet on VeloViewer, 7,200 feet on Strava, and riding with GPS, that's 5,600 feet. So who knows? It's just going to be a surprise. Your aid stations are marked there. They're at miles 33, 50-ish, and 89. The aid station mile markers were variable depending on where you looked. All right, so it says mile 49, the second aid station. So here they are in a 2D map. Again, north is up on this one. That's where your aid stations are going to be. Weather. So currently forecast to be around 4 miles per hour at the start, 6 miles per hour sustained towards the middle of the day. It shouldn't decisively affect the outcome, but it could aid the outcome of the day. Again, you can kind of see those arrows and how they're going to blow across the course. So kind of looking like the back quarter or back 10% of the course is going to be, assisted getting home. Terrain should dictate the rates. In this case, 850 feet to 1,200 feet is kind of the altitude span. Not a lot of altitude, but a good deal of climbing, looking at about 69 feet climb per mile. Concentrated in sections. If you look at the profile, the first, say, 20% of that course has a lot of climbing in it. Typically, we see gravel races have a decisive split within the first hour. So that's going to line up well with the climbing on the course in that first kind of severe section. Terrain will dictate the course again. Usually the split occurs from the accumulation of punchy climbs, speed changes, surface changes, and the always fun rider error, otherwise known as crashing, pileups. Gravel races just simply aren't designed for any sort of peloton. You get some bunches, maybe groups of like 10, most like 20. I don't think groups of 30 are really a thing in gravel races. Then I've zoomed in some of those first kind of punchy climbs, and that's roughly 3 miles right there. And you have three climbs, so roughly half of it. So 1.5 miles that's going to be uphill, and these are all like over 6% grades. So that'll give you an idea about what's coming. Looking at an early decisive split, again in the first hour, I would peg miles 3 through 15 for that. It's about 1,300 feet of climbing. That's 109 feet per mile, roughly, which is well above the average for the course. course rolls through multiple tributary watersheds, so just going in and out of creek beds. And you have the really fun water crossing, which we'll look at. Water crossing is right here, about mile 13, I believe. And I believe that's going to be an issue because you have, we'll call it three punchy climbs, a ripping fun downhill to a water crossing that's said to be relatively unrideable, although who knows, we'll see. And then there's a 90-degree corner, and then it's uphill for almost a mile right there. So I believe that section in and of itself will be proved to be decisive. Here's a satellite image of the water crossing. It is definitely a road that goes through water. So I would expect nothing less. It's rained a lot, and I haven't been keeping track. In the last 3 weeks, there's going to be more water. If it hasn't rained at all, which I hope it has, but there's going to be less water. So again, here's that water crossing, and then the uphill right after it. It's going to be the boat. All right, aid 1. You can see on a map, again, clockwise, so it's that first red dot. Aid 1 looks like it's going to come at the Mulhall Orlando High School in a parking lot. And in the bottom right, you're going to see kind of what the approach will look like. So you can see where those cars are on that telephone pole. It's probably going to be about where the aid station is. Mile 40 is Narnia. No vehicles. I'm not saying no race vehicles allowed there. Eno had a picture of some terrain that looks a lot like Narnia on it. You can see the tire ruts. It's like soft ground, pretty wet still. I would expect that to change as far as not as much water, but you are going to have the ruts. And look at the satellite image on the right. It is pretty darn obvious that road is a B road, maybe even whatever's after a B road. Like we're going to just go ahead and say it's a road, although, we get a couple tractors on the year kind of thing, but it doesn't look like it's going to be well maintained. All right, aid 2 is going to take us into the courthouse parking lot, mile 49, and you have a picture of the turn that takes you in there on the bottom right. Just make sure that we don't miss it. Around mile 60, mile 59.6, Mornar, no vehicles. That's the same road, E570 road. It was the east-west road, so it's right around there. The Narnia First Pass is on the to the west, about a mile and a half or a mile. So it's that whole general area is relatively we will call it what's the word for primitive? That's the word. Primitive roads. And that's going to take us to, after a few more miles of racing, to, I'm going to call the end game, Lake McMurtry Park to the finish. What's it have? You're going to have a few things to your advantage. You have the wind helping you, so you have a cross or a tail cross the whole time. You have aid station 3, and then you have single track. Single track is going to help to split up riders. So then as soon as you exit the single track, there's also a climb coming out of that. And then from that point on, you're going to have a slight push from some wind and primarily downhill to help you out. You're going to start at 1,100 feet and descend to 850 feet over roughly 100 or 10, 12 miles, I think, from mile 89 or 86 on here to mile 101. So what, 15 miles from this very beginning part to the end. So you're going to have gradual downhill, single track to help you out, get some separation. I would say if you have the opportunity and you have a gap, this is where you make a run for it. Just put your head down and go for it, because you have a lot of things. All right, aid 3, final aid station. That is also in that end game. Aid station 3 will come right at the trailhead that begins the single track. This is the approach. It's approach to the left-hand turn. I believe that shelter house, that building right there, the aid station will be in the parking lot. So just kind of take the corner super wide, you're going to be right there. It's a left-hand turn. We'll take you straight to the trailhead, the rest of the track. All right, finale. This is the last 2 miles. In the past, there's been no traffic control for this. That's why I want to put it up here so everyone knows that the last 2 miles in a college town, it's a small town, but it's still through the city, could be potentially dangerous. Racers will be tired. You're not going to want to look in clear intersections as you approach them. All you're going to want to do is put your head down and go for it. You can be in full competitive mode or competition mode. So yeah, again, it's the last 2 miles, and there's not usually a lot of traffic health for right this year. First, you're going to have this left-hand turn going on to Northwestern Road. There's a picture of it there. That's going to be a left-hand turn across traffic. So immediately after, there'll be a right-hand turn at a stoplight. Now we'll put you on to West Farm Road, this is all paved at this point. Coming into campus, you have a 2-way stop sign right here, which is going to go straight through. Again, you have it on the right, you have a picture of what it'll look like. And then your final right-hand turn will have another stoplight here. Again, that looks like it's going to be on campus. So maybe not a lot of goings-ons happening, but yeah, still always room for vehicles. And then crossing this intersection, there's a stoplight. Looks like it's going to be kind of busy. It's a major road. That's with, close to mile 100. So I have 1 mile left. Next stoplight is crossing Oklahoma Highway 51. It's going to be a mile 101 point something. Give you 1 more block after the stoplight to your final left turn. Cross traffic does have a stop sign on this one. I would say look for that White House. That's going to signal to kind of bang a left there. And that'll put you on the final run into the finish line, which also has a number of stop signs. So this first one is a 4-way stop, but again, not great lines of sight, it looks like. Second one here, 2-way stop, probably good lines of sight on it, but still stop signs. So remember, you are, by the rules of the event, you're obligated to obey the rules of the road because it is not closed road. And then this should be the last stop sign before you hit the finishing area. Could be controlled. I wouldn't bet on it. This is also a 2-way stop. And at that point, should be done. We'll roll right into the finish line. Make sure you give Bobby a hug. It's kind of his jam. Super happy guy, does a great event. Looking forward to hearing all the stories. Yeah, and then final feeding and hydration thoughts. It's a long day. Again, median finisher, 7.5 hours. So drink at least 1 bottle per hour, regardless of conditions. You're still sweating. You're still exhaling water. Cold hands are made worse when you're dehydrated. You're still working hard. If you have a mechanical, stop and have a mechanic look at the next aid station or wherever that neutral aid is. The reason being is they have all the tools to fix it right there. So if you're thinking, man, I think I can make it, but I'm not sure, but just stop and have them check. Eating a lot and eating early and eat more. Cool weather means that you're burning more energy to stay warm. I would say target 60 to 100 grams of carbohydrates per hour, but only if you've done that before. So eating and training your gut is training your gut, just like you train for, bike races. You train your legs, you also have to train your digestive system. So I would say dress warm. The high temperature is 66, but it won't be above 60 until 1 p.m. So that means the lead riders will be done by then. The tip of the spear. 60 degrees-ish and cloudy is not necessarily warm. So even if you're thinking, it's going to be fine, you're pedaling hard, whatever, throw a wind vest, throw a jacket in there. So if something happens and you have to stop, you can put that on, keep you from getting too cold. Pacing is strategy. So that early separation is typically the final separation. Usually when that happens, say your strongest group of riders get away in their first, and the next strongest group is second, and the next strongest group is third, and so on. Another way to think about that is as long as your group stays motivated, you're always gaining ground in the group behind you, but you're always losing ground in front of you. So thinking about FTP is a great number. It's also a very difficult effort. It's not sustainable for large amounts of time. Elite riders can typically manage around 90 minutes accumulation per day of riding at FTP. But if the winner is 4.5 hours, what's going on for the other 3? Otherwise, it's the majority, right? So they're not just parking their output at FTP. Tempo is 80% of FTP, and it's an effort that's more manageable and much more prolonged. Find friends to ride with. They push you to ride faster and help you get home in one piece, and they also keep you entertained. And then if something happens, then it's a buddy system as well. All right, that's all that I had for Mid-South. If there's any questions, then let me know. For the Lille factory team and the Road Less Traveled folks, you can find out more on our member benefits section, and you have access to that through your own login on the LEL website.